up, guys? What's going on? I'm Paul. This is Pauline Theology Daily Devotional, man. And we are going through the book of Exodus. We are in Exodus chapter 1, verse 7 through 14. 8 through 14. Sorry. We are in Exodus chapter 1, verse 8 through 14. So if you haven't read it yet, stop the tape. So you have to say, come back. We're going to answer some questions. If you have already read it, we're about to jump into it. But I want to let you guys know this is Trust in Jesus Ministries. And what we do here is help you to trust in Jesus more. And the way we're doing that is by reading the scriptures. The more that we read the scriptures, the more that we understand and know the character and the nature of God. And as we understand and know the character and the nature of God, man, we begin to trust him more. The more we know him, the more we trust him, man. That's just how it is. Or the more you despise him. And I hope that you're not on the despising part. I hope that you're on the trusting part. But we're actually going to see that in Exodus, in these next couple of, not the verses that we're reading now, but the coming verses after that. We're going to see the narrative of God versus Pharaoh already on the onset. It's going to be doing God's will or doing the will of self. It's going to be, technically, it's going to be doing God's will or doing Pharaoh's will. What master are you going to serve? And that's going to be like our entire lives is that question. Which master can you serve? Jesus said it himself. He says, what does he say? He says, no man can serve two masters. And so let's make a choice. Man, I went off, didn't I? I'm sorry, man. Let's jump back into what we're supposed to be going over today. And that is verses 8. I keep changing the verses every time. I'm sorry. It's chapter 1, verses 8 through 14. So what's going on? That's the first question we ask whenever we're reading through the scriptures. What's happening? What is actually occurring in the narrative? And what we have in the narrative is that we had already started with the idea of like the continuation of the story from Genesis. We talked about the brothers or the sons, however you want to call it, coming down to Egypt. And then we ended with Joseph dying. And now we have what we see is a new king comes up. A Pharaoh that doesn't know Joseph. And so what does that mean? Well, actually, it could mean a couple of things. I was reading and they were talking about kind of the era or the time that this occurred, and that the Hyksos were like the people that were over or in charge of this particular part of Egypt. But finally, the original Egyptians took back that land from the Hyksos, but Joseph was in power during the Hyksos period. And so the idea of not knowing who Joseph is more of the idea of what Yada means, which means like an intimacy or a bond. And so it is not that he didn't remember the thing that Joseph did in order to cause the salvation of the people of Egypt, but that he doesn't respect what he did. He takes no personal gratitude in the thing that Joseph did. And the reason is because that people, the Hyksos people, are not Egyptians originally and took over the land. And finally the Egyptians took it over again. And they were like, they are just the same as them. Foreigners who came to take our land. And that's what we're about to read too, as it kind of like builds a foundation of the reasoning behind Pharaoh placing the Israelite people into slavery. It says that they're getting great and mighty, man, that they're increasing, that they are just abounding in people. We started out, I think he said 70 people, and now they are just grown so much so that they were called like a people. Not in the sense of a nation, like that has a city state, but a people as in the sense of, man, there are so many of them that they can be considered their own group. That's how big, and it's quickly too. We don't have the technically the date or anything as to the time frame that it took, but it happened quickly. And it's like they've increased so much so. And because of their increase, Pharaoh got kind of scared. He got a little worried about them, man. So he put a mandate out on them. He put a mandate out on them and placed them under slavery. And the idea of putting them under this slavery, this bondage, is that they would have a ton of work to do, which would cause them to first be super tired. Well, actually, I guess first would be just to, in slavery, you just get wore down and they would just die. The idea is that they would just not carry on. But then also is, I think these places, it says that they built these storehouses for them. And the storehouse is kind of like an idea of maybe not so much of grain and stuff, but more like storehouses for war. The building garrisons and walls that had fortified areas that would be filled with the tools necessary to wage war. And so this was pulling them away from the land that they were occupying at the time, Goshen, and settling them in another location, at least the men. And so because of that, that would allow them to, or not allow them to continue to be intimate with each other, having children. And so this is separate them. So that's another way he's slowing down, or at least attempting to slow down the progress of the Israelite people. But that was not happening. Nope, that wasn't going down like that, man. It says because with the oppression which they oppress them, they just continue to grow. They continue to multiply. They continue to increase. And I was talking a little bit earlier about how we're going to see a opposition between God and Pharaoh. Well, right now we see it as the people of God are doing the thing that God has called them to. It's the language which they use to talk about the growth of the people is mirroring the language of the use in Genesis for the creation mandate. It says to fill the earth. And it says, be fruitful and fill the earth. And that's what it said that the Israelites were doing. It says, and they filled the earth. And so the Israelites were doing the thing that God had called them to do, and because they were doing the thing God had called them to do, then Pharaoh, who believes he's God, he's supreme authority, is afflicting them. He is oppressing them. See, that's what's happening, man. When people seek to follow God, seek to do the will of God, oppression happens, man. We've seen that in John. It says, man, if you follow me, he's like, you're going to end up being like me. They murdered me. That's what Jesus said, is that if they oppress me, then they're going to oppress you. No servant is greater than his master. And we're seeing this in Exodus already. As the people of God are doing the things that the God has called them to do as a people, then oppression happened. But God is faithful, because we see what he told to Abraham. He says, man, I'm going to increase you guys, man. I'm going to make you a bountiful people. Well, he continues to do that. They continue to grow despite. It's funny because it says as their affliction increased, their oppression increased, their population increased. You see? It wasn't that despite, it was because. It seems as if to show, so God can show Pharaoh already at the very beginning of the narrative of this book that he has more power than him. Man, so what does it say about God? That's exactly that. God is the supreme ruler. No matter what we think, no matter what we say, no matter how we feel, God is above all and is in control and sovereign in every situation. When things look tough, man, God is still in control, doing what he does, because he has all the power. There's nothing that can overcome or overwhelm our sovereign God. If you take one thing from that today, take that. Nothing can overwhelm or overcome our sovereign God. What does this say about mankind? It says that first off, we should be doing the thing that God has called us to do, because that's what the Israelites are doing. But in our actions to do the will of God, we will be oppressed. It's just the nature of what it is to be Christian. And then as non-Christians, we have to realize and recognize that they will be oppressing us. It's because those who do not desire God seek the destruction of those who do. That's clearly seen here, is that Pharaoh deems himself as God, and so whoever stands for and does the things that God has called, he is going to go against actively. And we see that even now today. And then how do we apply these truths to our lives? Well, I think it's important for us to see the sovereignty of God and knowing that he is going to take care of us, fulfill his promises, do all that he said to do. So let's just follow him. Let's walk in him. Where are you at today? Are you walking with God? Are you seeking God? Are you doing his will? Are you calling out for the glory of his name in everything that you do? Find something today to do that God has called you to. Walk that out. And every time I say it, man, I say, if you don't know what to do, witness, share the gospel. If you don't know what to do, read the scriptures, pray, build that relationship with him. Those are some things that you can actively do today. But I know in your heart that God is calling you for more. He is reaching out for more. And so whatever that is, take that step today. Man, there's so much I want to say on this that I ain't even get to talk about, man. I may do another a part 2 of this one. We'll see. We'll see. Hey, I appreciate you guys for listening, and I will see you in the next episode.